Every brand photographer thinks posing is their problem, but what if it wasn't and these 4 things are? Whenever I teach brand photography workshops or classes, the most popular question I get is, Emily, what's your posing flow? I really don't have one. I think a lot of brand photographers focus way too much on posing and make posing their main issue, when really the issue is inconsistent lighting, compositions for portrait photography instead of brand photography, not preparing their clients or themselves prior to the brand photo shoot, or there's not enough variety in the gallery. I have had hundreds of brand photography clients, and I promise if you fix these 4 fundamentals, your gallery will instantly look more professional and you won't have to memorize a bunch of different poses. Now, most photographers, when they transition into brand photography, do this without noticing, but they only shoot portraits, meaning every photo in the gallery has the person's face front and center. The biggest thing to remember is that brand photography should not just be a gallery of headshots. Clients really need variety in their gallery for marketing photos. A lot of my clients come to me because they are revamping their website, and if you think about how a website is laid out, it would look and feel kind of weird if it was just someone's face over and over and over again. You need that variety so that they can have a photo of their face, and then maybe a photo of their hands doing something, and then a photo of their props. If it's just their face over and over again, they're probably not going to use all of the photos. You really only need a handful of good headshots or lifestyle shots where their face is featured to make a good brand gallery. I would say around 40 or 50% of the gallery should be those detail shots or those on-brand stock images. I get this feedback a lot from the web designers of my clients. They're always so happy when they get the gallery back because it's not just headshots, which is what they tend to get from a lot of their other clients. If you're short of ideas and thinking, okay, if I'm not getting pictures of the client, what am I getting pictures of? When you are getting headshots, make sure that you're getting a variety of compositions. Some where they're just centered in the frame, some where they're off to the left third, and then some where they're off to the right third, because now they can put text on this side of the photo. Also, you can have them turn around and literally get a picture of the back of their head and have them interact with something in the scene. You can get wide shots of the environment. Maybe they're in the photo, maybe they're not. And then you can get overhead shots of what they're working on. That works really well if they have a lot of props and tools and things that they bring to the photo shoot. The best brand photography galleries have a huge variety of different compositions. The other basic rules of composition apply. Try not to cut off limbs, watch the edge of the frame and make sure you aren't cutting off like fingers, feet, or other objects that maybe should be totally in frame. You can vary your angles, so shoot from below, shoot from above. If you have leading lines, make sure those line up with the edges of your photo. This is super duper important because if you think about how the photos are used again, typically on a website or on an ad or in a graphic, there will be leading lines around the image in use, and if your lines are slanted, it's not going to look super professional wherever they end up using that image. I never really get it perfect in camera. I always go in Lightroom and post and use the perspective tool. One thing that you could do right now is go look at past galleries and see how can you crop any images more uniquely. You might be able to take an existing gallery, add in a couple of different crops, and add variety for that client. Is there any way you can crop below the nose and make it a waist up shot? Or if they're wearing cool shoes, can you crop a walking shot so it's just their feet moving? Speaking from my own experience of using my own brand photos, the ones that I use the most are pictures without my face in it. That leads me to my next fundamental, which is lighting. Lighting is the easiest way to create consistency across your entire body of work. Now, I know that's going to sound obvious, but this is where I see brand photographers go wrong, is they let the client dictate too many details of the shoot, especially wedding photographers coming into brand photography. On wedding day, you don't really have a lot of control. You have to make do with what is given to you. The timeline is chaos. You don't have a lot of control. With brand photography, you can have 100% control over the whole environment, the whole shoot. You are the expert and you don't need to let your client rush you into making bad lighting decisions or the dreaded, oh, I'll fix it in post, because we'll never fix it in post. A mindset shift that I have had to make over time is that I am the expert, not the client. They are hiring me to make the best decision for them, which means I am allowed to take the time to set up my lights and get it right so that the end result is what they're expecting. That also means I get to make strategic decisions about the photo shoot start time. I literally just had a client book me. They want to shoot at a coffee shop in the city. They asked me, well, what time should we start? And I looked at my lighting app. I used Lumos. The light is going to be best at 7:30 in the morning. So I said the only option is starting at 7:30 in the morning. And they said, okay, whatever you say. In the past, I have had clients be like, oh, well, it really works best for my schedule if we go at noon. And we can do that, but I make it very clear upfront to them, like, hey, we can shoot at noon. You are not going to get the results that you see in my portfolio. So do you have flexibility in the start time? If they do, awesome. If they don't, sometimes we'll change the location. The key here is to manage their expectations like I just did. I told them, we can shoot at noon, but you're not going to like the photos. I used to get nervous setting up my lights. If I felt like it was taking too long, I would just start shooting, even though I wasn't done setting up my lights. I had a very nervous energy, and when I have nervous energy, then my client, of course, is going to have nervous energy. So now, even if it's going to take me 20 minutes to set up lights, I do it confidently. And if the client is starting to look uneasy, I'll be like, hey, it's going to take me a few more minutes to get this lighting set up. Don't worry about it. Drink your coffee, relax, get some extra pampering and hair and makeup. It's just going to take a few more minutes. When you have confidence in your process, your clients are going to feel more at ease. They're not going to get nervous. These are my lighting rules of thumb. If you are shooting inside and there are overhead lights, turn them off. When you leave the overhead lights on and you bring in your own artificial lights or you're mixing it with natural light, you're going to get mixed lighting. Their skin tones are going to look weird. You'll probably get weird under eye shadows. It's just not a good look for anyone. I know in some situations, like a big office, maybe you can't turn off the light because it's controlled by the whole building, then the whole building will be out of light, whatever. If you can turn off the lights, like really push for it. Or before you get to the location, ask the client, hey, am I able to turn off the lights? And then that can inform the type of lighting that you bring. For my own personal style, I generally avoid direct light or harsh lighting, but I've been trying to incorporate it more for stylistic purposes. For most of my work, I prefer soft, even lighting, whether it's natural light or I bring in one of my constant lights. What I'm always looking out for are shadows under the eyes. I really don't like side lit where one side of the face is like lit, like side lighting if there's a window over here. I really hate that look, so I try to avoid it personally. Whatever your style is, just stick to it so that it looks the same across your portfolio. My next fundamental is planning. The difference between a photographer who just offers branding and a premium personal brand photographer is how much they plan for the session. A brand photography session isn't like a portrait photo shoot where you can just mostly show up and shoot. There is a lot of planning that goes in before the session itself. For every one of my clients, I have a photo shoot planning call. It usually lasts about an hour and we do it virtually over Zoom. Before this call, I do a lot of discovery work with my clients. So I'm going through their website, I'm looking at their content, I'm looking at any material they've sent over. So whether it's a brand guide, a launch plan, copy, anything that they're launching, I'm doing a lot of work to understand who are they, what do they do, and what do they sell. I also look at where are they going to be using these images. So then when I roll into the planning call, I'm prepared and have the right questions that I can ask them and maximize our time together. On the planning call is generally when we build the shot list, we figure out locations, we book hair and makeup, we figure out all of the logistics of the photo shoot, and it also allows me a chance to dig more into their brand and what their goal is for the photo shoot so that I know that I'm creating assets that are going to last them in the long term. This is another opportunity where I can set expectations for them as well. So if they come at me with like 100 different ideas, I love it. I tell them that I love it, but if we're only doing like a half-day photo shoot, we probably can't go to like 5 different places in that timeline. So it's just another point where I can set their expectations and adjust the plan as needed. We also talk about locations, outfits, props, all the good stuff. I have a whole other video of my planning process. You can go watch that if you want to deep dive into my process. I do want to touch on location scouting here. I generally do not go to a location prior to shooting there. I use a combination of my Lumos app, Google Street View, and I have my client send me phone pictures and phone videos of the space itself. I just don't think it's the best use of my time to physically go there and spend, a half day researching it when I can do it all from home. Things that I'm looking for are I'm noting the lighting conditions based on the time of day. I'm identifying potential background options, furniture options in the space, and I'm planning the equipment that I need to bring based on what the space looks like. That's the prep that happens before the photo shoot. And then there's a little bit of prep work that happens on photo shoot day itself. I tend to arrive early, and before we start the photo shoot, I'm scanning around for things in the background that I might need to remove that might be distractions, because you might say, oh, I'll just remove it in post. You won't. I know you won't. Or if you do, you're going to be really sad that you didn't just move it during the shoot. So I try to do that while they're getting their hair and makeup done. Things to watch out for are cords, outlets, tissue boxes, hand sanitizer, trash, random picture frames, just little bits and bobs that don't contribute to the brand story. That leads me to my last fundamental, which is variety. We've already talked about it a little bit, but when I say variety, I mean variety in everything. Poses, outfits, locations, props. I'll start with outfits. My rule of thumb for how many outfits I tell a client to bring is generally 3 to 4 outfits per hour of shooting. That might sound really aggressive and like overkill, and of course, not everybody brings that many. If we're doing a 4-hour shoot, that doesn't mean like 16 outfits. But I always tell my client I would rather you have more outfits than not enough. This is another thing that I do on the planning call. We talk about what kind of outfit are you going to wear at each location, and then we can plan out the schedule for the day, and it's a lot less overwhelming. So it's not like you're just showing up on shoot day with 16 different outfits. No, we know generally what outfit they're going to start in, what they're going to move into next. There is always flexibility to change the plan. If they're really feeling themselves in an outfit, I'm going to let them wear it. But I just think strategically about when these outfit changes happen. And remember, it doesn't have to be a full-on outfit change. You could throw on a jacket, take off a jacket, swap out just the top, swap out just the bottoms. There's lots of ways to add variety quickly without having to take 20 minutes to change into a new outfit. I try to include a lot of different emotions and expressions in the photo shoot. For example, if I'm working with a therapist, we're gonna have some smiley headshots, but a lot of the times they're talking about heavier topics, so she needs photos that are with a more somber expression. Now, beyond emotions and faces, we've talked about this already, but I want to include variety without their face in it. I cannot say this enough. The detail shots are marketing gold. While you're getting a headshot or while you're doing an action shot with their faces in it, see, is there anywhere here I can zoom in and grab a detail shot that they could use on a sales page, in an email newsletter? When I was newer in my brand photography career, I was pretty good at setting up different scenes, but I wasn't good at capturing different compositions. Their whole face would be in every single shot, and I would see my clients start to crop in on specific areas. And then I got me thinking like, oh, I could just do that for them. Like, what am I doing? Those are the photos that they use the most. I know I've said it before, but this is so important. You can capture different angles of the same moment, get vertical shots, get horizontal shots, basically any way you can incorporate variety. We want to do that in a brand session. One creative challenge that comes up a lot is, okay, what if I have a client who works primarily on their computer and the only prop that they have is a laptop? I always think this is a fun challenge because I get to think outside of the box and think, okay, how can I take what they're working on a screen out into the physical world? Can we print any of their PDF materials? Where do they actually get inspiration? Can I focus on their outfit details if they have on-brand colors or outfits? It can be intimidating, but these are my favorite types of clients because I get to think outside of the box of how can we represent their digital online business in the physical world. You can get really creative with it. I honestly wouldn't consider posing one of these 4 fundamentals, but I'm going to give it an honorable mention because I get asked about it so often. I'm going to guess that you already have a good grasp on how to pose people. The same rules of portrait photography and wedding and whatever type of photography you do, they still apply to branding, but posing is not the end all be all of brand photography. There is not a specific brand photography posing flow. What's really the most important thing in brand photography, the variety and the compositions. We always need to be thinking about the end use of the photo. And if you take a picture, just ask, okay, where could my client potentially use this photo? I actually think posing for brand photography is a lot easier because you don't have to feature their whole face and their whole body in every single picture. They don't have to be smiling at the camera the whole time because you can say, hey, relax, I'm going to get a picture of like your hands working on this thing, or a picture of you fixing your outfit details, or of you like looking at books or doing literally anything related to their business. Composition, lighting, preparation, and variety are the most important factors in brand photography. If you want a little bit of practice in remembering these 4 fundamentals, let's go open your last brand photography gallery and critique it through each of these lenses. Look at the lighting, look at the composition. Ask yourself, did you prep the client? Do you have enough variety in this gallery? Write down where you could have improved. It's going to help you remember better. Maybe you can upgrade your portfolio a little bit. See if you can crop any of your existing photos to add that variety without having to go do a portfolio building shoot. If you want to see real examples of all of these fundamentals in action from my past clients, you can go grab my brand photo shot list builder. It's totally free and it's interactive, so you can look at how I combine these different fundamentals together to create that variety and make a cohesive brand photography gallery. This is not like a basic checklist. You may have downloaded my old free guide, which was 50 ideas for your next brand photo shoot. This is the upgraded, better version of it. It's super good. I will leave the link in the description. If you want me to do a deeper dive into any one of these 4 fundamentals, I totally can. Just let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear which one you are going to work on next in your next brand photo shoot. I'll see you in the next video.